Right, this week's question of the week had several different questions over the past few months as to the gist of the question is when or what would the legal repercussions be of using Brazilian Jiu Jitsu or martial arts in a self-defense scenario? And I appreciate the question. I had not been answering it mainly because YouTube is a terrible place to get legal advice. If you want to know what the legal repercussions would be, the reason YouTube is such a terrible place for legal advice is, one, some people watching this video are in different countries. Laws are drastically different in countries outside the United States. But two is laws are drastically different in regards to self-defense from state to state, just here in the United States. And three, laws can differ significantly just based off the city or the county and what would be interpreted as self-defense and how that would be treated. So it's a topic that nobody on YouTube is qualified to give you an answer on. I know there's some channels on YouTube where people talking are attorneys, and those attorneys are only experts in the states that they have licenses in. And in almost all those videos, if you look, they have a disclaimer that the advice being given is for entertainment purposes only. It's not legal advice. So even if the person is an attorney, YouTube is not the place to get your legal advice. You would need to talk to an attorney in your area if you really wanted to know the ins and outs of different scenarios, for your area, because it just varies so much depending on where you live. I'll give you an example. It was several months ago. There was a case in Oakland, California, where 3 people showed up to this 77-year-old man's house in a stolen car, like they were ideal citizens, and then broke into his home. One had a crowbar, one had what looked to be a gun, but it turned out to be a fake gun, and then I don't know about what else they had. And the 77-year-old man shot and killed one of them. So the police came, and here in Texas, we have castle doctrine. That would, I would say in most cases, be a legit shoot. In Oakland, they arrested the 77-year-old. And I'm watching the news, and the news described the dead guy as a victim. And I'm like, man, what kind of crazy world do we live in? And it said that, the 77-year-old was arrested, but it didn't clarify whether the 2 other people that survived were arrested. Did they go to jail too? Or, just the guy that defended himself. You're 77 years old, you're in your house, 3 people show up in a stolen car, carrying weapons, break into your home. What's the right answer? So, and I haven't followed the case. I was just so disgusted as soon as I heard that reporter describe the dead guy as a victim. I'm like, okay, I'm done here. I don't know what the total outcome. The police chief, they had interviewed him, and he said, well, because the 77-year-old didn't want to make a statement, so we had no other choice but to arrest him. And I thought that was crazy because, one, considering a self-defense scenario like that is a traumatic event, you should absolutely talk to your lawyer before making a statement. And the hypocrisy of it all is, for law enforcement, depending on their where they're at, they generally have it in their contracts where they have anywhere from 24 to 48 hours before they're required to make an official statement when they have a deadly force shooting. So why would you, when you have that privilege, expect this 77-year-old who has been traumatized by these home burglars. You know, because you're in your home. You're supposed to be safe there. And 3 people show up to break in, and they're armed. And you defend yourself. So I tell that story to let you know that nobody on YouTube can give you good legal advice on it, because my thought is that, man, that's a justified shooting. But apparently that's not what they think out in California, or that in the city of Oakland. That's not what they thought. And I don't know how the case has gone. This happened several months ago. Hopefully somebody came to their senses and they released this man, and he hasn't been charged, but who knows? So when it comes to the legality of self-defense, you're going to have to talk to a lawyer. Don't ask anybody on YouTube. Nobody on YouTube can give you correct legal advice. So talk to a lawyer is the right advice. A lawyer who is licensed in your state, in that jurisdiction, that specializes in that area. Like, don't talk to a real estate attorney. You want to talk to a criminal defense attorney, that would be ideal in your area. And the other thing is that realize that you could talk to 2 or 3 different attorneys and have 2 or 3 different opinions on a particular self-defense case. So lawyers have a tendency not to even be in agreement. So what I would advise is you have to decide, is it worth it to go to jail to use Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, martial arts, or even a weapon to defend yourself? You're going to have to determine that worth. You know, like I would hope, if your life is in danger or the life of your loved ones, I would say whether you go to jail or not, the right thing to do is defend them. And then you have to make a decision if it's, say, somebody else, you know, that's not in your family. You know, will you protect them, you know, if they're being attacked? Like there was that one case in Philadelphia where, this may be about 2-3 years ago, where a lady was raped on a train, and there was numerous people there. They just didn't get involved. And if you make that decision, you're going to have to, hopefully, you can look yourself in the mirror for the rest of your life and say, you know, well, you know, at least I didn't go to jail. You know, I did the right thing. You know, because not everything legal is right. Not everything that is right is legal. So you're going to have to make the determination. And whatever determination you make, if you use self-defense, I would say prepare to go to jail. You know, at least until you get a lawyer, and it's, you know, there's a good chance your first stop from that self-defense scenario is going to be to jail, and then you know, work out in the court systems. But YouTube's a terrible place to get legal advice, and just realize that that's my bottom line message. YouTube's a terrible place to get legal advice, and if you do use self-defense, however you go about self-defending yourself, there's a good chance you're going to jail. Whether you get convicted of that or not, whole different issue, but you will probably spend a night or 2 in jail initially before it's all resolved. So weigh that out when you're determining whether to use Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, martial arts, a weapon, whatever you're going to do. Just weigh out that there's a good chance you'll probably go to jail for it, and hopefully you'll be found innocent, or, you know, not convicted. But who knows? It's a crazy world. So that's the answer to this week's question of the week. If you got a question for next week, feel free to fire below. If you got any insights, or if you're one of those Google people, they're like, oh, I looked up the case. This is the outcome of the 77-year-old's case. I haven't looked at it, but I'd be curious to know. I just haven't Googled it. And feel free to make your comments below. All right, till next week. Ciao.